Now I'd like to talk about the wiggler. So let's go ahead and start a new composition. Remember, just click on the new comp icon at the bottom of the project panel. And you can leave these settings as they are, which are exactly what we had before. Go ahead and click OK. And let's just have this time a rectangle. Let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. And I'm going to grab the pan behind tool. There you go. Let's move the anchor point a little bit to the left there. And let's have just 2 rotation keyframes. So remember, select the layer, press the letter R for rotation, and let's click on the stopwatch for rotation, and let's change this value to about 18 or 19 or so. Move in time to about 2 seconds, and change this value so that the layer rotates up. And this is what we have if you scrub the timeline. There you go. Now I'm going to actually move this keyframe a little bit further up in time to about 4 seconds. Click on the word rotation to select both of the keyframes. And now go ahead to Window and choose Wiggler. When you choose Wiggler, a new panel opens up on the bottom right-hand side. Let's go ahead and move it by clicking on the grip and dragging it to the project panel. There you go. We can see that a little bit better. When it comes to the wiggler, a wiggle expression, you really only need to worry about 2 things, and that is how often and how much. That is frequency and magnitude. Frequency is measured in times per second. The default for this panel is 5 times per second. The magnitude is how much of the actual randomness is going to be applied to the value. One of the questions that usually arises here is how much what? Well, it depends on what property you're trying to assign the wiggler to. In this case, is how many degrees, because we're dealing with rotation. So let's go ahead and change this number to about a 10. Please note that if you deselect the keyframes, the Apply button gets grayed out. So let's go ahead and click on the word rotation again to select these keyframes. You need to select 2 or more for this to work, and now click Apply. Let's go ahead and RAM preview this. And as you can see, there are some random values that have been assigned to this layer. Let's talk a little bit about what these things mean. You can apply random values to the temporal graph or the spatial path. We are not dealing now with X and Y values, so spatial path is grayed out. You can also have different types of noise. You can have smooth noise or jagged. Smooth just means that we're going to go between the values of one keyframe and the next keyframe following a smooth change in value. Jagged is just going to refer to sudden changes in value, so there's not going to be any kind of smoothness assigned to it. Dimensions. If we were dealing with X and Y parameters, you would be able to choose between just assigning randomness to the X or just to the Y or to both. There is something, however, that I'd like to point out about the wiggler. Let me go ahead and undo. Remember Control or Command Z. Let's go ahead and duplicate this layer, Control or Command D, and now we have 2 layers that are doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to change the color of one of them. Let's go ahead and click on the top one and select a different color here from the color swatch. Let's say a green. There you go. And now we have a green layer, and if I make it invisible, we see that we have a blue layer. Let's go ahead and select both of them and press the letter U. Click on the word rotation for the top one and apply the wiggler. Just click on Apply. Click on the word rotation for the bottom one and apply the wiggler as well. There you go. And now let's go ahead and RAM preview. That's 0 on your numeric keypad. As you can see, the values of both layers are different. In other words, the wiggler applied different random values depending on the layer's stacking order.